The full picture of what's about to happen in Afghanistan is starting to come into focus. And my friends, I hope you are prepared for a shock news cycle. Something that you will probably have to shield your children from. There's up to 15,000 Americans still in Afghanistan. They can't get to the airport, in Kabul at least, because scared Afghan citizens are blocking the roads. The Taliban has set up checkpoints. And there is a concern that the Taliban is going to start executing, well, let's just say more people, because they've already been doing it. Apparently, they're going after journalists now. And I know a lot of people joke about journalists being bad people and, but come on, like the people on the ground reporting in Afghanistan are not the same as the woke rage bait cultists that live in New York City. A lot of these people may be Afghan citizens who are legitimately filming videos and getting us information. And the reason why I'm going to defend the journalists on the ground in Afghanistan is, for one, there's a big difference, like I said, between conflict reporters and between rage bait garbage trash in New York City. But the other issue is we would not know about what was going on there because the Biden administration seems to have collapsed. Mark Milley now, according to one report from Jack Posobiec, may be on the verge of resigning amid the chaos. Where's Kamala Harris? Biden's just on TV lying and Jen Psaki's on vacation. The chief of staff apparently won't be giving an interview. And the only reason we know anything about what's happening is because there are journalists on the ground. And it's rather shocking to say, but CNN has a reporter, a woman on the ground in a particularly dangerous situation. And people are ragging on her because she said she said one bit that they're chanting death to America, but they seem quite friendly. Now, I certainly think it was naive to report that way because you could have said something like they're tolerating our presence because we're broadcasting their victory chants. There's a difference. But I don't see it as that big of a deal. In fact, I'm grateful to Clarissa Ward for being on the ground. It's certainly not a safe thing to be doing. And I have to be honest, I despise CNN. But I will take whatever I can get right now. And I don't hold it against the individual reporters on the ground. They're risking their lives. That's a fact. Big difference between someone being on the ground and these rage bait trash political writers in New York City. You got me defending CNN now. Why? What am I supposed to do? We need to see what's happening. We've got American citizens trapped in Afghanistan, unable to evacuate. What do you think's going to happen when the Taliban starts going door to door, when they start patrolling neighborhoods, setting up checkpoints? Are these Americans going to be cowering and hiding in basements? It may be. And this may be a disaster on a scale we have not seen in generations, when you have potentially 15,000 Americans who could end up as prisoners of war, hostages, or even get executed, depending on the work they did. Some of these people, probably security and defense contractors. We've already seen the Taliban execute Afghan commandos who surrendered. Where is the Biden administration? Well, Joe Biden's lying on TV. Lying on TV. Everyone is tearing into him. Even the media, the Democrats, I should say Democrat-supported media are tearing into him. The administration itself. Where's Kamala? New York Post says last person in the room. Harris silent 6 days amid Afghan pullout chaos. I will absolutely state first and foremost, I believe it was the right thing to do to get out of Afghanistan. I think at this point, everybody recognizes it. Even Joe Biden was forced to come out and say, look, nation building didn't work. These people couldn't defend themselves. It was the problem is Biden came out months ago saying, well, we got 300,000, security forces for Afghanistan, as strong as any army. They'll be fine. This won't happen. Apparently, Joe Biden, the Biden administration, pulled out of many of these cities before evacuating Americans. Look, you're not going to come to me and blame Trump for this. 14 months to prepare. Joe Biden campaigned. He was running for the presidency. We all knew what Trump had negotiated. We all knew what was to come this year. And Biden said to the American people, I would like to be in charge while that happens. Why didn't they plan for this? Where are they now? Hiding. They're literally hiding right now. When you start seeing images appear on TV of Americans begging for their lives, this is going to be, I think this is going to go down in history as something more than Saigon. I wasn't alive for Saigon. I don't remember the cultural impacts. It's interesting. It's interesting how that works in a society, right? I know a lot of people who weren't alive during 9/11. That's crazy. I remember sitting there watching it happen. This is going to be maybe the Black Swan event that Palantir was talking about. Maybe it is Afghanistan. Maybe this crisis will persist months down the road with horrifying imagery emerging, sending a shockwave through through America, which could result in a ripple effect towards confidence in markets. Maybe not. Maybe it's a stretch. Where are they at? Kamala Harris, silent. Let me show you. Let me show you more. We got Jack Posobiec saying Milley is considering falling on his sword for Austin and retiring post-evacuation, per Pentagon official. Milley also privately telling officers he wishes 45 was back despite the bad blood. What? Now, I'm sorry, man. We had Jack on the show. He's a frequent guest, Timcast IRL. But Jack, you expect me to believe that woke Mark Milley is wishing Donald Trump was back? You know what? I can't believe it. At a time when the administration seems to be collapsing and people are jumping ship, we are hearing Milley saying he wants Trump back. Yeah, because where's Joe Biden? Where is Joe Biden? Take a look at this. Cernovich, check the timestamps. Jack Posobiec tweeted at 1:25 p.m. on the 8th, just yesterday. Biden is telling staff he wants to go back to Delaware. Hasn't been sleeping well this week. Thinks he will be more functional if he stays over at home in Wilmington. And then, just shy of an hour later, WMAL News reports President Biden, who has spent the last few days traveling between the White House and Camp David, is scheduled to head to Delaware for a long weekend. That's according to the FAA's website. I think Jack's sources are correct. Jack, not every single scoop he has comes true. He had one where he said they were talking about doing lockdowns in the U.S. Hasn't panned out so far, but not to say it won't. But in this regard, yeah, I would believe it. I would absolutely believe there are people in the White House right now saying we need Trump. You know, here's the way I explained it. Trump had a problem. Trump talked to the press so much it hurt him. He wouldn't shut up. He'd tweet like crazy. And he'd go and give interviews to these people who hated his guts. It's better than what Joe Biden is doing. It's better than what Kamala Harris is doing. Where's Jen Psaki on vacation? I know that they've got the Pentagon, giving statements. And I know they've got, people giving statements. But it's like the leadership is just fractured. Fractured. Check this out. Biden is slammed for claiming Kabul chaos was inevitable after months of saying it was not. Irritable president snaps in car crash interview over questions on Afghans falling from planes. You know what he said? That was 4 or 5 days ago. What? Wow. For all the stupid things Trump had said, the things that I hated that he had said or done, I don't see Trump being... when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, he said, wow, she was a tremendous, historical figure. It's a great loss. I can't say I'm surprised by this. When you vote to elect against, you are not voting for. You vote for anything, and you vote for this insanity. It's incredible, isn't it? Biden, Kamala, Milley. It's look at this tweet. Look at this one from Joe Concha. White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain can't bring himself to be interviewed or questioned in any capacity. A theme for this White House during the crisis, but has in the last 24 hours been retweeting Jen Rubin, Joe Walsh, John Harwood, and Aaron Rupar. This is what you get. This is what people voted for. Let's get serious. From NBC News, up to 15,000 Americans remain in Afghanistan after Taliban takeover. U.S. officials said about 1,100 U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and their families were evacuated on 13 flights on Tuesday. And what did we see? I can't necessarily blame the U.S. government for this entirely or the Biden administration, but we're seeing the evacuation of Afghan citizens before American citizens. I know it's probably simple to say for a lot of people to look at the surface and say that shouldn't happen. We should get the Americans out. The problem is not all of the Americans are sitting there in Kabul waiting to get on a plane. It's not like Joe Biden said, hold on, you Americans, you can't leave. We're going to bring the Afghans out. They got the people on the planes that could get on the planes. And now the real problem with this is comes down to the actions taken by the Biden administration, which resulted in many Americans remaining in Afghanistan, being trapped in Afghanistan, because they botched the withdrawal. Now, I have heard that there was advanced warning about the withdrawal. And to be fair, most people knew, especially if you were in Afghanistan, that the U.S. was planning on withdrawing from Afghanistan. You could have gotten out. In fact, there was one guy who went on TV. He flew there like a week or so ago. It's like, what are you doing? We all knew this was coming. We're way past the deadline. I'm not going to blame Biden for everything. I'm not going to play Biden derangement syndrome. I'm going to be honest. I like that he decided to go forward with the withdrawal and to get our presence out of Afghanistan. I don't like that he's clearly screwing it up. We had Forrest Cooper on last night. He was an Army Ranger in Afghanistan. We had Jack Posobiec. He was, I believe Jack was Naval Intelligence. I could be wrong. So these are guys who have experience with deployment. But Forrest, more specifically, in Afghanistan, he's talking about how he knows these areas. In these videos, he remembers being there. He knows what it's like. And it's devastating for all of these people who serve to watch what's happening. And he absolutely said, yes, this could have been done in a way that did not result in what we're seeing now. But you know what the problem is? Mark Milley, more concerned about white rage than figuring out an exit strategy when you know you had a deadline. And as you've probably seen from the Matt Zeller interview, this guy is working with getting our allies, interpreters and things like that in Afghanistan out. And he said they didn't plan for any contingencies because they had been telling them for years, here's what you need to be doing. And what was it really about? They didn't want to look bad. If you are more worried about your appearances, then you're going to look bad. It reminds me of the people who do like the vanity muscle workouts, just to look good. And it's like, you got to actually, here's a good example. You've got the people who are like strongmen and they work out the vanity muscles and they look all great. But do they actually have the strength? Go watch a strongman competition and look at the massive abdominal muscles. These guys don't look like Arnold or any of these big muscle men. Probably people would assume they were obese, but it's just muscle in every way. The point I'm trying to make is, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. And all their plan was to not look bad. I'm sure, you know what I think? I bet they were relying. Well, we can trust the media will just say good things about us no matter what, and we don't got to worry about it. 15,000 Americans. What do you think is going to be happening? Check this out from Newsweek. Biden's decision to delay Afghanistan withdrawal to 9/11 could escalate Taliban conflict. This is Newsweek telling us outright. We've known for some time the withdrawal was a bad idea. I'm sorry. The delay of the withdrawal. The withdrawal was a good idea. The delay of the withdrawal was a bad idea, and we've known that. And the Taliban threatened to engage in violent actions because of it. How is it that Biden delayed, not even till 9/11, he just till now, with no plan? And now there's just, where are they? Daily Mail. Closing Bagram Air Base was a recipe for disaster. Army veteran turned terrorism analyst calls for CENTCOM commander to be fired for dumpster fire plan to choose Kabul airport to evacuate thousands of people. Security experts said Bagram Air Base would have provided a secure hub, but it was closed in early July when U.S. forces slipped out at night. Americans must instead try to reach Kabul's airport, which is ringed by the Taliban. The result has been chaotic scenes at Hamid Karzai International Airport and growing questions about Biden's administration emergency plan. Bill Raggio said you do not put your primary evacuation airstrip at an airport inside a city with 4.5 million people. What were they thinking? Rep. Mike Waltz said Bagram had more space for keeping people safe. But General Mark Milley said his orders were to secure the embassy and he did not have enough troops to hold Bagram. They could have been taking care of this in April when we knew these things were coming. The U.S. could have said, we are going to be flying people out this month, from the month of April to May. If you do not by then, forever hold your peace. They could have started doing all of the evacuations. They wouldn't even call them evacuations. Instead, they delay, they wait till the last minute, and then nowhere to be found. Now they're just lying, I guess. Callous comments. Now I want to point something out, though, because I'm not playing Biden derangement syndrome. Shelby Talcott says Biden says he doesn't think the Taliban has changed, before adding that they're going through sort of an existential crisis. I'm not sure I would have predicted that when we decided to leave that they'd provide safe passage for Americans to get out. Are they? Now, it may not be as bad as, I think it might. I don't know. Look, it may not be that bad. It's bad what's happening for sure. My fear is that with 15,000 Americans still in, we could start seeing really horrifying images emerge in the news of what's happening to these American citizens, and it will not stop. It will ring for months. There will be story after story, family after family. Now, it's possible, because I'm not here to play stupid games. It's possible the Taliban is recognizing they are about to inherit American infrastructure, weaponry, industry. And I mean, it's in Afghanistan. It's Afghanistan, stuff, but it's like built by the Americans. And they might want to be viewed as legitimate, in which case they're going to have to make some concessions. If they start executing Americans, which is very possible in my opinion, that will very seriously harm their standing on the world stage. But Biden also said he's not sure they actually care. They're going through a sort of an existential crisis. I don't disagree completely. And I think people are too quick to just be like, he said a thing, it's bad. Every time Trump said something, they said it was bad. No. I'll criticize Biden for lying. I'll criticize Biden for saying that was 4 or 5 days ago. I'll criticize Kamala Harris for fleeing, Mark Milley for being more concerned with white rage. But if Joe Biden says something, let's actually approach it critically. The Taliban has an opportunity for international recognition. The question is, are they going to try it? Now, look, I'm not saying that they're going to walk in with smiles on their faces and everything will be fine. They're already beating and whipping and killing people, and they've been for the past several weeks. So will they actually accomplish that? I don't think is possible. In which case, my fear is that although I would say, okay, I'm listening, I hear the argument, they've already done enough to where no one's going to care. They care more about their ideology than they do about what some other nation thinks of them. And I'm sure they feel that there will be many people of their faith who will defend and support them in what they're about to do. I mean, the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan is what they call themselves. So where is everybody? Where is Joe Biden? Where are they at? The Daily Mail says, President Biden has been slammed for the bald-faced lie that chaos in Kabul during the final stages of the U.S. withdrawal was inevitable, after saying for months it was not. The president's performance was blasted from all arenas, with Republicans and Democrats branding Biden shameful and calling for him to take responsibility for the scenes of violence and disorder in recent days, as thousands attempted to flee while the Taliban advanced. Biden was criticized for having no urgency in tackling the crisis, while others said the president was impotent and dishonest after his interview with ABC News on Wednesday. In the interview with George Stephanopoulos, Biden expressed disbelief there was a way to have gotten out with chaos, and said he did not think the withdrawal could have been handled without mistakes. He said the idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out without chaos ensuing, I don't know how that happens. That's because you're bad at your job and because people elected someone who doesn't know what he's doing. That's what happened. I just had an Army Ranger on the show. He tells me straight up, yeah, here's what we could have done. We got opinions from tons of people. Look, we got one analyst saying, why didn't you use Bagram Air Force Base instead of the civilian airport? Now the Americans can't get out. But Mark Milley says, I was given orders to protect the embassy. There it is. Joe Biden made the call to act. This is just. They say 6 weeks ago at the White House briefing on July 8th, Biden said the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan was not inevitable. He said that the drawdown was proceeding in a secure and orderly way. At the time, he also said he trusted the Afghan military because they were the most competent. They were more competent in terms of conducting war than the Taliban, and at the same time denied claims the intelligence community expected the Afghan government to collapse. I want to make clear that we won't just walk away and not sustain their ability to maintain a force, he added on July 8th. However, in last night's ABC interview, Biden appeared pleasantly surprised the Taliban was letting the U.S. evacuate Americans from Afghanistan without issue, but said his administration was having more difficulty evacuating Afghanis who helped the U.S. military and now have Taliban targets on their backs. Biden snapped back at Stephanopoulos when he was questioned about footage of 2 Afghans falling to their deaths, brushing off the harrowing images because they were 5 days ago. Disgusting. So I want to go back to what Biden said about the existential crisis and make this point. The Taliban may be thinking, get the Americans out of our country. That's it. You just find them, you get them out. And it may be that they won't harm Americans. I certainly hope so, because I hope you are all prepared for what happens if we start seeing images that the Taliban says we don't care anymore. Maybe they want PR. Maybe they want the propaganda and they want to show what they can do to Americans. That will be a nightmare. I think in the long run, if the Taliban wants to maintain control, they would need to get not just the Americans out, but the Afghan, allies, the people who worked in the Afghan citizens who helped the U.S. They should be like, you can leave. They've promised amnesty. I don't believe it. We've already seen videos of people being beaten, people being shot. Yeah, I don't think there will be stability in this, and I think the risk is great. I don't think they have a strong enough command structure. I think you're going to get people who are just going to be like, I don't care what they say. And they'll go after whoever they go after. I hope you're ready for these images, and I hope you realize what it means that the administration appears to be crumbling and running and cowering. Or at least Biden came on TV. I can respect that. I can. And then he lies. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.